In the case of this group, it was all cast in terms of the coming of the Antichrist, which the group seemed to associate very closely, in fact, with the United Nations. So it's really quite similar to other militias' ideology, but with a very particular biblical kind of twist.
We're rejoined by Amy Cooter. She's a doctoral candidate at the University of Michigan. Amy, you have spent time with, the Hatari or other groups?
Mostly with other groups, since the Hatari is this fringe element that isn't representative of the overall movement.
All right, so the people you've spent time with, I would almost say you've been embedded with them. You've spent sort of really good time with them, a lot of time with them. How would you describe them? Would they strike us as sort of everyday, normal Americans with concerns about too much government, or is there something more? Do they have more of an edge to them?
I think that most people would be surprised at how normal they are. Some of them have government jobs. In my interviews with them, most of them are actually slightly more educated than the average U.S. citizen. The overall movement, they're not particularly religious. Most of them are married, have kids, and you wouldn't know they were militia members if you encountered them in the grocery store unless they happen to have their militia T-shirt on.
And what drives them? What's their big concern here? Is it too much government, or is it something more than that?
You know, a lot of these militia members are a little concerned about big government. They feel that the Constitution isn't being followed to the letter of the law. They usually don't see it as a living document. And for a lot of them, their militia involvement is kind of a political statement, as well as a way for them to continue military service and this patriotic sentiment that a lot of them share.
Are they attracting sort of fringe folks who like weapons and might be sort of hoping that there's some kind of battle? Is there an element in there like the Hatari that may be sort of not what you're describing?
To be honest, that's pretty rare. If those people show up to the meetings of the main group, they're usually either asked to leave if they're very forward about their ideology, or they quickly figure out that this group isn't going to offer them the opportunity to do that, and they fall out. They may find another group like Hatari, but those groups are fairly rare.
So what then is the motivator? If you feel like the Constitution's not being followed, that there is too much government, what is the motivation to join one of these militias? What are you going to get out of it? What's the takeaway for them?
Well, as I mentioned, a lot of it is sort of this protest activity. They feel like they're not especially represented in the two-party system, and this is their way of saying, hey, we want to hold on to our guns, don't infringe upon our Second Amendment rights. And I think you have to pay attention to the camaraderie element too. In any social group, people will band together with people who are like-minded, and a lot of the media folks who've been out to the trainings recently say, wow, these guys look like grown-up Boy Scouts, and they're really surprised at the image they convey.
But did you encounter anything that was like the Hatari, groups that were that much further off sort of the mainstream?
It's pretty rare, including the Hatari here. There are one or two groups that look a little bit like that, yes.
Okay, interesting. Amy, great conversation. Thanks very much for joining us. Amy Cooter is a doctoral candidate in sociology at the University of Michigan. All right, when we come back,